she said. Either we open our relationship or I'm leaving, while throwing clothes into a bag. So I said, drive safe, and changed the locks. My ex moved in with her coworker and came crawling back when it fell apart. She's begging now, but I'm with someone who chooses me, and I'm not listening. I knew something was off the second she stopped making fun of my weekend grill obsession. That sounds small, I get it. But Dana always teased me when I got too into the smoker settings or stood out in the yard arguing with a meat thermometer. She used to say I treated brisket like brain surgery. It was playful. It was us. Then one Saturday, she just didn't say anything. Just scrolled her phone with her back to me while I was flipping ribs in a cloud of smoke. No smile. No teasing. Just silence. My name's Rick. I'm 41, live in Gilbert, Arizona, and I've worked as a security systems tech for the last 15 years. I'd been married to Dana for 9 of those years. We had a 3-bedroom house in a quiet subdivision, 2 paid-off cars, decent money coming in, and 0 kids by choice. Life wasn't flashy, but it was solid, or so I thought. Before we dive in, share which city or country you're watching from. We had our routine. Monday through Friday, she worked long hours at the firm. I handled install calls all over Phoenix, sometimes Tempe or Mesa. Saturdays were yard work and grilling. Sundays were movie nights and football. She used to laugh at how seriously I took fantasy league stuff, but the shift started slow. Dana quit laughing at my dumb jokes. She got weirdly defensive anytime I asked about work. And Marcus, some guy in her office, started popping up in conversations a lot. Like a lot. Marcus said this. Marcus brought donuts. Marcus told me about this documentary. At first I figured it was just a work friend, maybe someone who made the office suck a little less. Then she started dressing different. Higher heels, more makeup, tops she never wore before. I asked her once if she was going somewhere special, and she snapped. Why do you care what I wear? You barely notice anyway. Then she grabbed her purse and left without another word. I chalked it up to stress. Her firm had been slammed for months. She came home drained, barely said 2 words some nights. She stopped watching our shows, quit coming to the store with me. When I offered to take a weekend trip, Flagstaff, Sedona, anywhere, she brushed it off like I'd asked her to help paint a fence. I told myself she'd bounce back. But I know now, looking back, that's when the first real cracks showed. The distance, the agitation, the checked-out attitude, the late nights. Marcus, that was the beginning. I just didn't see it yet. That night, I grilled steaks alone, scraped the plates, and didn't ask why she wasn't hungry. When I walked in that Thursday afternoon, the first thing I noticed was the closet doors wide open and our bed covered in half-folded clothes. Dana was in the middle of the room, grabbing shirts from hangers and throwing them into a navy blue duffel bag like she was racing the clock. I set my tool bag down by the door. What's going on? I asked. She didn't look up. I told you not to come home early today. No, you didn't, I said. And even if you did, this is my house too. She slammed a drawer shut hard enough to rattle the mirror. I can't do this anymore, Rick. Do what? I stepped farther into the room. What the hell's going on? She spun around, arms crossed, eyes burning. This life, this boring, predictable, suffocating life. You're stuck in the same routine every damn day. Work, grill, sleep. You don't do anything. You're not curious about the world. You don't try new things. You don't grow. My jaw clenched. So now I'm the problem, because I'm not chasing whatever midlife crisis you're on. Her mouth twisted. Don't you dare turn this on me. I've been trying. For years. You don't see it because you're fine with mediocrity. I'm not. I looked at the bag, then back at her. You cheating? She hesitated, just long enough for the answer to hang in the air. No, she said finally. But I've thought about it. A lot. I didn't flinch. With Marcus? She rolled her eyes, but she didn't deny it. That's not the point. Feels like the point. Dana stepped closer. I need something real. Something exciting. I want to feel alive again. I'm 37, Rick. I'm not dead. I still want passion, connection, and I'm done pretending this is enough. And the bag? I asked. I'm giving you a choice, she said. Either we open this marriage and stop pretending this is some fairy tale, or I'm gone tonight. I stared at her. She was shaking, half angry, half desperate, like she thought this ultimatum would jolt me into chasing after her. But I didn't move. I just said, drive safe. She blinked. That's it. Yeah, I said. That's it. Dana's face fell. She stood there, frozen, like she couldn't believe I wasn't pleading or begging or crying. Then her expression twisted into something mean. You really don't give a damn, do you? I shrugged. I gave a damn for 9 years. You just weren't paying attention. She snatched the bag off the bed, slung it over her shoulder, and stormed down the hall. I followed her to the door, watched her fumble with her keys like her hands weren't working right. Right before she walked out, she turned back. You'll regret this. I swear to God. Rick. I leaned against the doorframe. Not as much as you will. She stared for a second. I think she wanted me to cave, to chase her, to throw some last-minute Hail Mary and fight for her. Instead, I shut the door behind her, turned the lock, and stood there in the silence she left behind. An hour later, I was on the phone with my buddy Colin, who owns a locksmith company. Told him I'd pay extra if he could swing by tonight. He showed up around 8. I stood on the porch with a beer while he swapped out the deadbolt and gave me a new set of keys. "You good, man?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think I am." After he left, I sat on the couch, turned on the game, and didn't answer when Dana called twice from a blocked number. By midnight, I'd packed up the rest of her stuff in boxes and set them neatly in the garage. She could grab them whenever. I didn't care when. She wanted to feel something real. Well, now she could feel what it's like to lose someone who actually loved her. The next morning, I called my brother Shane before I even had coffee. He picked up on the second ring. "Yo, she's gone," I said. Silence for half a second, then gone. "She packed a bag and walked out last night. Said she wants to open the marriage or she's done." "Jesus Christ," Shane muttered. "And you let her leave?" "I told her to drive safe." He laughed, short, proud. "Damn right you did." I rubbed my face and leaned against the kitchen counter. "You free this weekend?" "Hell yeah." "We boxing her crap up?" "Yep. Everything's already in the garage. I'm done." Shane showed up Saturday morning with 2 energy drinks, duct tape, and a look that said he'd been waiting for this day. We didn't talk much while we worked, just put on music, grabbed boxes, and packed everything from framed wedding photos to her stupid air fryer. I didn't ask why she left that behind. By Sunday, we'd filled almost every inch of the garage. Her whole life, boxed up and labeled like a warehouse clearance sale. "You hear from her?" Shane asked while stacking the last box. "Just once. Blocked number." Didn't answer. "Good." Later that night, I texted a mutual friend, Krista, just to let her know Dana could come by for her things. She replied almost immediately. "Just a heads up, she moved in with Marcus 2 days ago." I stared at the screen. "Of course she did," I muttered. I didn't respond to Krista. There was nothing to say. Dana had made her choice before she ever gave me that ultimatum. By Monday morning, I was sitting in the office of a divorce lawyer my neighbor recommended. Guy was older, gray suit, clean desk, zero small talk. Exactly what I wanted. "She left on her own?" he asked. "Yep." "She move in with someone?" "Yep." "Did you consent to any of this open marriage business?" I scoffed. "Not for a second." He nodded, scribbled something, and said, "We'll file for abandonment and emotional infidelity. It won't be messy if you don't let it get messy." I signed the papers that afternoon. That same week, I started waking up earlier. No reason. Just couldn't sleep late anymore. So I filled the time. I hit the gym before work, lifted heavy, ran longer. I meal prepped, cleaned the garage, fixed the gate Dana had been nagging me about for years. I even restained the back deck. Nobody asked me to. I just did it. By the 3rd week, I was eating cleaner, sleeping better, and had more energy than I'd felt in years. I reached out to a couple old friends I hadn't seen since the wedding. We grabbed beers. We caught up. It felt good to laugh again without walking on eggshells. Shane started texting me random jokes and gym tips like we were kids again. He even got me to sign up for a charity 5K next month. Said it'd be good to beat somebody in something that wasn't Mario Kart. And he wasn't wrong. One morning, about a month in, I looked at myself in the mirror and realized something wild. I wasn't angry. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't broken. I wasn't sitting in bed wondering where she was or what I did wrong. I was grounded, clear-headed, free. I was getting dressed for work one morning when my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, but 30 seconds later it rang again. Same number. I answered. "Rick." "Hey, it's Mallory, Dana's sister." I sighed, already regretting picking up. "What's going on?" She hesitated, then said, "Dana's not doing great." "Not my problem," I said, grabbing my boots. "I just think you should know she regrets everything. She talks about you constantly. She knows she screwed up. She chose to screw up." I cut in. I didn't make her walk out. She was in a bad headspace. "Marcus, stop right there," I snapped. "Whatever happened with her and Marcus is between them, not me." Mallory exhaled sharply. "He dumped her, okay?" 2 weeks in, she started talking about a real relationship, and he told her to pack up and go. "She's staying with me now. She lost her job. She's not my problem," I repeated. "And don't call me again." I hung up. The next day, Dana tried calling from a different number. I blocked it. Then another. Blocked that too. Then came the texts. Long, dramatic paragraphs about how she made a mistake, how she thought I didn't care, how she thought I wanted her to leave. I didn't reply to a single one. A week later, she showed up at my gym. I spotted her in the mirror while I was finishing a set, just standing by the front desk, arms folded, watching me. She didn't come over, didn't wave, just stared. I waited her out, kept lifting, finished my sets, showered, walked out like she wasn't even there. Then the car started showing up. A silver Hyundai, parked down the block from my house. Engine off, windows cracked, just sitting there for hours. The first time, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was dropping something off. But when it happened again the next night, and then again the day after that, I had enough. I walked straight up to the driver's side window. She rolled it down halfway. Her eyes looked sunken, makeup smudged, like she hadn't slept in days. "Rick," she said, voice cracking. "Can we please talk?" "No," I said flat. "You lost that chance when you packed a bag and ran off to Marcus." "I didn't know." "Save it," I cut in. "You want closure? Here it is. You burned it down." "Not me." She gripped the steering wheel like it was holding her together. "I miss you," she whispered. I leaned down closer. "Don't sit outside my house again. Next time, I'm calling the cops." "I mean that." She flinched, then started the car and drove off without another word. That night, I called Mallory, told her if Dana showed up again, I was filing a harassment report. Mallory apologized, said she'd handle it. And after that, the texts and calls finally stopped. I could breathe again. Once Dana finally backed off, I figured it was time to try dating again. I wasn't looking for anything serious. Just coffee, conversation, a decent meal where I didn't have to eat across from silence or tension. A few coworkers tossed me numbers. Shane even set me up with one of his wife's friends. Cute, bubbly, no filter. We talked for an hour, then realized neither of us wanted a second round. The dates were short. A drink here, lunch there, some nice women, some weird ones. One lady spent 20 straight minutes explaining her crystals. Another called her ex my soulmate before the appetizers hit the table. Still, it felt freeing. I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't trying to read someone's mind. I wasn't dragging dead weight through dinner, praying she wouldn't pick a fight in the parking lot. I didn't miss any of it. Then came the Tech Security Expo up in Flagstaff. Boring event. Honestly, same vendors, same demo gear. I showed up mostly to shake hands and make the company look good. But right after lunch, I ended up sitting next to this woman during a roundtable on digital resilience. Yeah, real sexy stuff. She leaned over during the panel and whispered, "If they say the word agile one more time, I'm walking out." I laughed, genuinely. First real laugh in a while. Her name was Jen, 29, graphic designer for a mid-sized firm in Scottsdale. Bright eyes, quick wit, no fake energy. We grabbed coffee afterward and just clicked. It wasn't flirty or forced. It felt easy. We swapped numbers. I figured she'd forget all about it once she got back home. She didn't. She texted the next day, asked if I wanted to check out a food truck festival over the weekend. I said sure. We ended up staying there for 3 hours. Barely noticed. We talked about work, failed marriages, bad dating apps, terrible movies. She told me she'd been married young, divorced by 25, and had zero patience for games or drama. I told her I'd been through hell and wasn't looking to repeat the tour. She smiled and said, "Sounds like we're both allergic to bullshit." That's exactly what it felt like. No pressure, no performance. Just two people who'd already been burned and didn't want to waste time playing pretend. Over the next few weeks, we kept seeing each other. Nothing intense. No declarations, just dinners, walks, deep talks, laughter that didn't feel forced. And for the first time since everything went sideways, I stopped looking over my shoulder. Things with Jen stayed simple. No drama, no games, just real conversation and a steady kind of energy that I hadn't felt in years. Then, out of nowhere, my manager pulled me into the office one Thursday. "You've been solid the last few months," he said. "Steady, focused, reliable. That kind of consistency matters." I thought I was in trouble, honestly. Instead, he offered me a promotion, field ops manager. More money, more responsibility, more travel, too. But I didn't mind. I was already spending most of my time on the road anyway. I took it without blinking. That new title hit different, not just for the paycheck, but because for once, I felt like I was building something again, moving forward instead of crawling out of wreckage. A week later, my phone buzzed again with a name I hadn't seen since the last mess. Mallory. I let it ring twice, then answered. "What now?" Her voice was softer this time. "I'm worried about Dana." I didn't say anything. "She won't eat. She barely speaks. She sits in her car outside your house at night, just staring. She won't listen to me." I closed my eyes, jaw tight. "You need to tell her this isn't okay. She's not well, Rick. She's not thinking straight. And it's not my job to fix that," I said. She walked. She didn't trip and fall. She chose it. "I know," Mallory said, "but I don't know what else to do. If she shows up again," I said slowly, "I'm calling the cops. I'm not playing this game. I've been clear." Mallory exhaled, then hung up without another word. I stared at the screen for a while before blocking her, too. That night, I told Jen everything, about the calls, the car, the guilt trips. She didn't flinch, just sat on the couch beside me and said, "She's spiraling. You're not her lifeline. Let her hit the bottom. Maybe then she'll get help." She was right. So I poured a whiskey, turned on the game, and didn't bother looking out the window once. Over the next few weeks, Jen and I got closer. We started planning a trip somewhere out of state. Maybe Colorado or Oregon. Nothing fancy, just some hiking, fresh air, and peace. Peace. That word meant something now. It wasn't just the absence of noise. it was quiet inside me. No more second-guessing. No more mood swings or walking on eggshells. No more solving puzzles I never built. My house felt like my house again. The bed didn't feel cold. The kitchen was stocked with food I liked, not whatever fad diet Dana had latched onto. My mornings were quiet, and my nights had laughter in them again. Letting go wasn't easy, but damn, it felt good not carrying someone else's chaos anymore. We got back from Oregon on a Sunday afternoon. I dropped Jen off at her place, kissed her goodbye, and headed home with that calm kind of tired you only get from unplugging for a few days. As I pulled into my driveway, I spotted a figure sitting on the top step of my porch. At first I thought it was some random neighbor or maybe a package thief being bold, but as I parked and stepped closer, my stomach dropped. Dana. She looked nothing like the woman I'd married. Her skin was pale, her hair tied back in a rough, messy bun like she hadn't showered in days. She wore a faded hoodie, her knees pulled up to her chest like a teenager in trouble. She stood up fast when she saw me. Rick. I didn't say anything, just walked past her, unlocked the door, and stepped inside. She followed before I could close it. Please, she said quietly, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I didn't invite her in, but I didn't shove her out either. I just let her stand there while I set my keys on the table and took off my jacket. She stayed by the door, wringing her hands like she didn't know what to do with them. Her eyes were sunken, dark circles. She looked like someone who hadn't slept since spring. I messed up, she started. I was selfish. I thought I wanted freedom, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I said nothing, just waited. I kept waiting for you to fight for me, she went on, voice shaky. I thought if I pushed, you'd finally show some fire. I wanted to feel like I mattered, like I was wanted. I raised an eyebrow. So your plan was to threaten the marriage and hope I chased you like some teenage drama? She swallowed hard. I know it sounds stupid now. No, Dana, I said. It was stupid then, too. You don't fix things by walking out. You fix things by staying and talking, not by dragging some office crush into our lives and daring me to be okay with it. I was scared, she whispered. I felt like we were stuck, like everything was on autopilot. I didn't know how to say it. You didn't try to say it, I snapped. You handed me an ultimatum with your bags already packed. That wasn't a cry for help. That was a damn exit strategy. Tears welled up in her eyes. I thought Marcus cared. I didn't realize he just wanted something temporary. When he dumped me, I felt like an idiot. You were an idiot, I said. You threw away a life for a guy who brought donuts to the office. She flinched like I slapped her. I want to fix it, Rick. I shook my head. There's nothing left to fix. She stepped closer. We had years together. That has to mean something. It meant something. Past tense. I don't hate you, Dana, but I'm not carrying your regret around just because you misjudged the landing. She broke then, started crying, hard. Real sobs that shook her whole body. She leaned against the wall like her knees couldn't hold her up. I watched for a second, let her get it out. Then I walked to the front door, opened it wide. It's over, I said. She stayed frozen, her face blotchy, lips trembling. This isn't over, she said, voice raw. I looked her dead in the eye. It's been over. She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. Then she walked out. I closed the door behind her and locked it. Didn't even wait for the sound of her car. I just stood there, in the silence, feeling nothing but peace. The wedding was small, nothing fancy, just backyard lights, folding chairs, and a friend of the groom pretending to be an officiant. Jen and I showed up a little after 6, grabbed a couple drinks, and found our table without drama. It felt easy, comfortable. She wore a soft blue dress that matched her eyes, and she laughed at all my dumb jokes. We weren't the center of attention, and we didn't want to be. Just another happy couple, sipping cocktails and catching up with old faces. Right after the first dance, Jen pulled me toward the floor. Come on, she said. You're not escaping this. I groaned but followed her out. We moved like we'd been doing this for years. Not perfect, but in sync. I caught her smiling up at me like she actually enjoyed just being there with me. Then I spotted her, off near the bar, standing by herself with a half-empty glass of white wine. Dana, thinner than before, pale. She wore a black dress that didn't fit right. Her hair looked brittle. She didn't laugh, didn't talk to anyone, just stood there, watching. She saw us dancing and froze. I looked away, kept dancing. Jen leaned in. That her? Yeah, I said. That's her. A couple songs later, Jen went to use the restroom. I stepped off the floor to grab some water, and that's when Dana made her move. She approached slow, glass still in hand. Rick. I turned toward her, but didn't step any closer. Dana, you look good. Thanks. She hesitated. Can we talk? Just for a second? I shook my head. I don't think so. She blinked, like she wasn't expecting me to shut it down that fast. It's just, I haven't seen you since. Because there's nothing left to say, I said, calm but firm. Before she could reply, Jen walked up beside me, holding a small plate of dessert. Hi, she said politely. I'm Jen. Dana's face shifted, tight smile, shoulders stiff. I'm Dana. Nice to meet you, Jen said. Simple, friendly, nothing fake, nothing defensive. Dana looked back at me. I just wanted a minute. You had years, I said. Her jaw clenched. I wasn't in my right mind. You were in enough mind to pack a bag, remember? She didn't answer, just stared, wine glass trembling in her hand. I put my arm gently around Jen. We're heading back to the dance floor. Dana said nothing as we walked away. I glanced back once. She was still standing there, alone, facing the bar. Then she turned and flagged the bartender for another. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel anything, really. Just done. Just free. Later that night, we were back at my place. Just the two of us, stretched out on the couch under a throw blanket, her head on my chest while a movie played low in the background. The condo was quiet. Clean lines, hardwood floors, big windows. No clutter, no ghost of the past. I'd sold the old house a few months after the divorce finalized. Too many memories stuck in the drywall. Too much of her in the kitchen drawers and closet corners. This place was mine from day one. Furnished it myself, kept it simple. It fit my life now. Jen shifted slightly and let out a soft sigh. Tired, just thinking, I said. Good thoughts. The kind that remind me how far I've come. She smiled against my chest. I kissed the top of her head and stared up at the ceiling. I'd already picked out the ring. It was sitting in my sock drawer under an old ticket stub from our first concert. Nothing flashy, just something solid. Like her, I wasn't rushing it, but I knew. She didn't run when life got heavy. She didn't test me just to see if I'd beg. She saw me, all of me, and chose to stay. Dana wanted freedom, thrill, drama. She got exactly that, plus instability, broken trust, and a long ride back to nowhere. Last I heard, she was working part-time retail at a strip mall out in Chandler, crashing at Mallory's place. Still talking about going back to school. Still circling the same drain, waiting for someone to reach in and save her. Not my job, not anymore. I didn't hate her. I didn't wish her harm. But I was grateful she made it easy for me to walk away. Sometimes people show you who they are in the worst way possible. And if you're smart, you don't chase after them hoping they'll turn back into someone they never really were. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. You just have to let it.